All right. Good evening, everyone. And thank you for joining the Humanities and Social Sciences Student Orientation for this program. My name is JC Cover, and I'm the Study Abroad Specialist for the College of HSS. My role, I mainly work with students and anything that comes with studying abroad, such as application management, financial planning, scholarships, promoting the programs, and etc. Again, anything that revolves around studying abroad, I'm here to support you. Also with us, we have Dr. Jessica Stern. She's the Associate Dean for the college, and she also plays a big role in supporting students with studying abroad and faculty. As well with us, we have Dr. Steve Stamball. He's the director of the Cal State DC Scholars Program, and he will be talking about in detail about the DC Scholars Program, while I'll be talking about the study abroad programs that the college has to offer. Now, before we begin, let me just say if you have any questions during the presentation, please feel more than welcome to post them in the Q&A, and we will do our best to get to all of them at the end of the presentation. If not, we will definitely get to most of them. All right. So I don't know, Jessica, Dr. Stambo, did you guys want to say anything before we begin?
No, I'll contribute later, but I'm eager to get you going.
All right.
Yeah, no, just welcome everybody.
All right. So let's get started. All right, so the College of Humanities and Social Sciences generally offers up to 9 experiential learning programs annually. In fact, we are the only college on campus that offers a nice diversity of programs around the world. Just to kind of give you an idea of what that yearly format is, in the spring, essentially every spring, we do offer a program to London. It's a 13-week to sometimes 15 weeks program, full time, that also offers an internship component tied into it. So not only would you be studying in London, you could also intern. It's what I like to call the entree of our study abroad programs because it is amongst the longest. But it's a great program, and it does allow you to travel to Europe and to continental Europe if you decide to do so. Now, in the summer, it's quite common for us to offer 4 to 7 various summer abroad programs, and I'll cover what those programs are in the next slide. And then finally, again, our Cal State DC Scholars Program. This is a program that's offered twice a year. It's offered in the spring, which as well is about 13 weeks, 13 to 16 weeks, depending on the format, and also in the summer, which could range anywhere between 5 to 6 weeks, I believe. So throughout the year, you can expect, a nice set of different study abroad and study away, which is what Cal State DC would be, programs that are available to you. Now, what does that look like? So this is an overview of all of the programs or countries that we've offered either in the past or plan to offer in the future, that's available to students. So again, London in the spring, London, DC, the DC Scholars Program. In the summer, we've offered Brazil, Cambodia, Costa Rica, Denmark, France, Germany, Guatemala, Indonesia, Ireland, Italy, Japan, Mexico, Portugal, and Spain. And there's actually more. So as you can see, we're pretty diverse when it comes to offering different study abroad programs, just to give students that advantage and and the option to choose different countries where they would like to go in the future. So we're known. The College of HSS is known for offering just a variety of different programs that's available to students. All right, so why should you study abroad, right? What's the point? How is this going to help you? Well, the most obvious reason is this is an opportunity for you to see the world. By studying abroad, you'll be able to travel to new places you otherwise would not have visited. You'll experience a brand new country an incredible new outlook, with incredible new outlooks, customs, food, music, and activities that would be part of your program, of course. You won't be limited to traveling to just one nation in which you are studying, as it is very much possible for you to visit other nations if you decided to do so. For example, our students who participated in our London program, it was common for students to like during the weekends to travel to continental Europe and visit other European nations such as France, Germany, Italy. Just uh, um, let's see, yeah, those would be the main ones, and it just all dependent on where a student wanted to go. So depending on their program, you won't be restricted to that country. If it's possible for you to travel outside of that country, you would be encouraged to do so. Also, personal development. There's nothing quite like being on your own in a foreign country. Speaking from my own experience, you might find that studying abroad really brings out your independent nature. Students who study abroad become explorers of their own nation and really discover the curiosity and excitement that they harbor. Furthermore, you'll have the chance to see a side of your major and the course that you may not have been exposed to at home. Now, although being in a new place can be overwhelming at times, I can tell you this: you will be tested. However, it will increase your ability to adapt to different situations and being able to solve different problems while you are abroad. And with that type of skill, can definitely be transcended into a job or a future position that you may hold. Take on a new culture, right? Wherever you go, guarantee the culture is going to be different in many ways. This would be an opportunity for you to gain your own perspective and your own experience about that new culture. These programs are open to all majors. Let's say you wanted to go to Italy, and it sounded like a great program, but you later found out that it was restricted to comm majors. Unfortunately, you wouldn't be able to participate. However, through the College of HSS, all of our programs are open to all majors. So it doesn't matter what your area of study is; these programs are open to you. Even if you happen to change your major during your college tenure, you could still apply. Furthermore, these programs are led by CSUF faculty members in conjunction with study abroad providers. Now, how is that beneficial? Every study abroad program that we offer, including Cal State DC, are ran by CSUF faculty members who have extensive experience leading programs and experience and knowledge about the country. So it's common for a faculty to either travel to the country that they would like to host before the program even starts, to cultivate and build relationships, to figure out where your housing is going to be at, basically pave the way for you so that by the time you do start your program, everything has already been planned out for you. Study abroad providers. A study abroad provider is a company or an organization that works with universities to help facilitate and customize study abroad programs. And these companies, they basically eliminate any headaches or any of the difficult things that would have to be set in place to create a program, like building or finalizing and creating your field trips, your ground transportation, your housing. All that is set up beforehand in conjunction with your study abroad provider. So those are things that you wouldn't have to be concerned about, as again, it's already paved out for you. You will be able to earn 6 units of GE course credit. Now, as a Cal State University Fulton student, at some point you're going to have to take upper division GE credit. Now, what better way would it to be to take these credits abroad in a different country, right? In the summer or in the spring. If you don't have anything planned in the summer, why not take those extra courses that you need to graduate in a different country? There are many academic field trips that are included with these programs as well, such as, just to name a few, exploration of local forests and savannas for wild foods and medicines, visit to the Royal Palace in Phnom Penh, Cambodia, overnight stay at a lion sanctuary, food tours, cultural tours, river cruises, service learning activities, and more. Also, it's a safer way to travel. As they say, you're safer in groups. With these programs, you would not be traveling alone. You would be traveling with a group of at least 10 students, up to 25, including the faculty. And it's just a safer way to get around and travel around the world, because you're not on your own. You wouldn't have to figure out things on your own, because again, as I mentioned earlier, it's already planned out for you, and you would be traveling with a group of students, your peers. These programs can be short-term or long-term programs, right? So for example, like the spring program I had mentioned to London, that's 13 weeks. Let's say you don't have the flexibility to take that amount of time off. Well, perhaps you can partake in a shorter term program in the summer that could range anywhere between 2 to 6 weeks. So you have that option. Internship opportunities, excuse me. As I mentioned, the London program offers that feature, right? So I am a huge advocate for interning. Interning will allow you to gain the experience and exposure that you need to, be a successful or a competitive candidate for a particular job, right? And studying abroad will give you that option, that flexibility that you'd be able to have. And finally, reduced program fees. It is common for the College of HSS to search and secure extra funding to reduce program fees to make it a lot more affordable for students, which I'll touch on in the upcoming slides. Now, with all these benefits here to studying abroad, that's not all. These are just some of the most important ones that stuck out to me. But as you do more research, you'll be able to see and understand that studying abroad, experiential learning, is an excellent way to enhance your education. All right. So 2021 program offerings. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we were forced to make a slight change with our offerings and how we offer study abroad programs. This year, we've decided to go virtual, right? And the three programs that you see there: London, England; Yucatan, Mexico; Cape Town, South Africa, which is tentative, but we do hope that we're able to offer it in the summer. These are virtual programs that one would be able to participate in. Now, I know it might not be, what you are thinking of, or the excitement might not be the same, but I guarantee you, you're going to get something out of it. You have nothing to lose, but everything to gain. Number one, you'll be able to earn 3 units, right, in the summer. Oh, by the way, all these programs will take place in the summer. You will earn 3 units of Upper Division GE credit in the summer, in the comfort of your home, or wherever you are studying virtually. Number two, this would prepare you for an on-site endeavor, right? So with hopes that everything gets better in 2022, we plan to offer on-site programs, which I will touch on in the next slide. So for example, let's say you did partake in the Yucatan, Mexico virtual program in 2021, and you decided to do it again, but not the virtual, but the on-site version in 2022. You would have an advantage over your peers because your perspective would be different. You would have prior knowledge of the country. You would have prior knowledge of the culture, the history, and your whole lens and vision of what the program should be about would be enhanced, in my opinion, because again, you would have that prior experience. These programs would be inexpensive. We're talking about less than a gym membership, if not at no cost to you. You would just be responsible for the cost of tuition. So, like as I mentioned, you have nothing to lose, but everything to gain with these virtual programs. There are virtual tours and activities that would be included, such as museums, archaeological sites, cooking class, team building activities, community engagement activities, and more, all virtually, all at your fingertips. So while you're at home or, in your comfort zone, you can be taking a class and earn the 3 units that you would need to graduate, with the ability to immerse yourself in another culture. And that's virtual virtual learning. Those are our virtual programs that we plan to offer this summer. Okay, so for 2022 program offerings, and this is our goal is hopefully everything changes with the pandemic and it gets better. We can go back to our on-site learning. So in the spring, again, we will be offering to London, England, and then in the summer, Austria, Cambodia, and Vietnam, which is it's a program in one. It's what I call a dual program in one, where you would visit one country for 2 weeks and then finalize your endeavor in Vietnam. And then Costa Rica, Indonesia, Mexico, and Portugal, right? So, even with that, there's still a nice set of different programs you can choose from. Just all depends on where you would like to go. All right, so program fees. So what we have here is a 2019 fee matrix to kind of give you an idea of how programs are financially structured, right? So what's not mentioned in here is what's included in the program fees, right? So for every program, your housing is included, your ground transportation is included. There are group meals that are included, and international travel insurance is also included. And finally, your daily field trips and tours. Every day, essentially, you would be doing something outside of the classroom, except the weekends, unless the faculty decides to, set up something extra. But usually, it's a Monday through Friday type of ordeal where you would be traveling to different parts of the country or the city of that particular country, exposing yourself to culture or whatever is related to the courses that you're taking. So as I mentioned earlier, a couple slides back, the College of HSS makes it a point to secure extra funding to help reduce the cost. So let's take a look at South Africa, right? This is a program that was 4 weeks at that time, and usually a program to South Africa is about $3,500 per person, and it includes everything that I had just mentioned. That year, because of the extra funding we were able to secure, we were able to reduce it down to $729 per person. Cambodia is another program that was about a little over $2,000. We got it down to 1,200. There's another program that we offered a year prior that's not on this matrix. It was to Vietnam. That was originally a $2,000 program, and we got that down to $500, right? So, as I mentioned, these there's always an opportunity to see reduced program fees. A lot cheaper than what you would probably, a lot cheaper than what you would probably expect is if you were to do this on your own, right? So, going for 2022, hopefully the College of HSS is able to secure the, similar funding to help reduce the cost for certain programs, if not all of them, to make them more affordable. And the reason why we do that is because one of the main reasons why, students don't study abroad is because of finances, right? Because it can get expensive. But as I mentioned, we want students to partake in these type of activities. So, we make it an effort to find extra funding, apply for funding along with the faculty who run these programs to help reduce the cost. Requirements. It's pretty basic, right? So in order to be eligible, you must have earned at least 30 college credits, right? And this would include your cumulative credits as well. So if you're coming from a community college, we would count those credits as well. You also must have at least a 2.5 GPA and in good academic standing, which translates to one not on academic probation or has received any academic disqualification to be eligible. All right. So where can I find program information? Very simple. You can go directly to our website, the hssfullerton.edu/study abroad for information. This is where you would find information about the application, detailed information about a specific program. You would also find information about information sessions, or any campaigning events like study abroad fairs, right? So, just go straight to our website and do your research, and everything would be right there in front of you. You could also email me directly at jcover@fullerton.edu, and I'd be more than happy to assist you. And if anything, I did post this information in the chat. All right, so that concludes study abroad. I'm gonna go ahead and pass it on to you, Dr. Stambo, to talk about the Cal State DC Scholars Program.
All right, thank you, and welcome everybody. Just in a lot of the stuff that JC mentioned is going to be the same for us. So we're going to go through a few slides, but not as many. It is for the DC Scholars Program. We've had it for about 15 years. It's started by us, run by us, and has been a program that around 600 students have gone through over the years, and a number of them are in a really kind of a tight-knit alumni organization that helps each other out throughout the years, and many of them are still in Washington, D.C. working. A lot of them are in Sacramento working, or in LA working, or across the globe. We have a few over in Europe doing different things. So they're all over the place. And what kind of unites all of that is the idea that you add to your education by doing something that's a little bit different. And what we try to do with this is provide an educational experience that is combined with professional networking and combined with career development in a relatively unique location. DC's been in the news a lot lately. We're not out there right now. It's virtual, it's pandemic, which is probably a good thing at this point. But we will be going back in person, and hopefully to find the same type of city that we found beforehand. When I advise students on this, especially when we were starting the program and all through the years that I ran this, when they would come into my office, my first question would be, why do you want to do this? And the answers I would get would be all over the place. Sometimes it would be a very direct, here are the steps I need to do before I can run for office. And we get that type in here, and that's great, and they're doing well, and it's perfect for them. There are a number who just said they didn't know what they wanted to do, and they just wanted to go explore. And this actually works for that as well, because when we think of a Washington, D.C. internship, a lot of times people think Congress or the White House, maybe the courts, and we've had people intern in all of those. A lot more in Congress, a lot more opportunities there. But we've had some people in the White House, we've had some people over at the Supreme Court, but we've also had people in media out there who still work in media out there. We've had people work for off the hill nonprofits and lobbying firms dealing with everything from international human trafficking to education funding, to women's issues, to LGBTQ issues, to with great relationship with a wonderful organization that deals with homelessness issues. And they do a wonderful job with the students. Pretty much when you think of DC, anything and everything you can think of, any policy issue, any industry, anything you can imagine has a lobbying office out there, probably several lobbying offices out there. And each of those lobbying offices take interns, and they take interns to deal with policy background research, to deal with communications, to deal sometimes with development or fundraising or lobbying or event planning. There's a lot of different things that people have done over the years. Some of it is highly substantial in terms of the work. And some of it is a little bit more fun. I don't want to say the other one isn't fun, but the types of internships really vary quite a bit based upon the office. The core of the program out there is an internship, and we'll move on to another slide in just a second, but the core of the program, that's good, because I'll transition to this. The core of it is the internship. So in summer 2021, the CSU system is still prohibiting a lot of travel, so we're going to be doing a virtual one that we've designed to, with our alumni network, bring DC to students. You'll be doing virtual internships, and we've had a number of students do virtual internships, which work out really well. And we know it's not quite the same. It's also a lot cheaper because there's no travel or housing cost beyond what you have here. So it is something that we're taking applications for now. We have some information sessions about, which are on a later slide, which we'll get to in a few minutes. We're going to return to the on-site program. The goal is for 2022, which is both, we have a spring program where you take a full slate of classes out there on site with Cal State Fullerton faculty. And you take, or the summer program, which is the 6-unit program. The summer program, which is the one I want to talk about kind of the most, because it's kind of our default. It's our main one that students have gone through, and the one that we're recruiting for right now. The 6 units include 3 units of internship, and that doesn't really matter what your major is. We can work with majors. We've had this in everything from throughout our college, but also outside of our college. We've had a number of students in business, number of students in communications, even some from NSM and engineering, and the arts. We had a couple of art students who interned over at the Kennedy Center and one over at Ford's Theater, which was kind of a cool experience. The internship takes up most of the time. So virtually it would be like you're doing a virtual job. And then we would have the class one night a week, which would be virtual, of course, with a professor who is out there, who's worked for us quite a bit, and knows the city and knows kind of the culture of it. And the goal of the class would be to introduce you to the city as much as we can. The culture, the history, the politics. There's a lot of, for those of you who aren't all that interested in politics, and right now almost everybody seems to be, there's a lot to DC that is just, I don't want to say non-political because it is political and social, but it's more about the culture side of it. So there's a wonderful music tradition that's there, a ton of stuff dealing with the arts, lots of history. We've had a lot of people intern in museums, sometimes Smithsonian, sometimes a lot of the small museums that are out there. Those are all really cool experiences, whether they're virtual or in person. You can do the program more than once. So if you do a virtual one, that builds your resume for going on site if you want to do that the following year. The course, when it is in person, is designed to bring, and will be the same thing virtual, just not quite in person, to bring alumni or friends of the program to you to talk about different career paths and what you need to do to prepare for that, and to deal with some of the course materials too. I mean, there's the actual course materials there as well. One thing that we've learned and that I learned throughout the program is one of the things that students get out of this is kind of expanding the horizons of what they think is possible. So a lot of times people will go out there who have never, if we were in a room where I could actually see people, I would say, raise your hand if you've ever been outside of Orange County. And a lot of people have never been outside Orange County. And a lot of people have never been outside Southern California. It's a totally different culture. And sometimes it can be intimidating. People think that DC, being the political center of the country and of the world to some degree, is a place where a lot of people who are from a lot of East Coast Ivy covered schools and they run everything. And the answer is most definitely not. There are competitive advantages that our students have had over there, that places, really high profile places, seek out, after we develop a relationship with them, seek out students from us because our students come from a different background, because our students are West Coast and are diverse in different types of ways. Sometimes using skills that people don't necessarily even know are skills. One of the best examples that I've seen over the years off of that is for those of you who are interested in security work, national security type of work. We've had students intern at the National Defense University quite a bit. And one of the advantages and one of the things they looked at from our students that they did not get from their 3 other feeder schools, all of which were East Coast Ivy covered schools, were that our students were culturally and linguistically fluent in strategic languages and strategic cultures where the other ones might have taken them in school. So we have people who are fluent in different parts of Spanish throughout all of Latin America. We have people who are fluent in Korean. We have people who are fluent in Farsi, and Tagalog, and all kinds of different languages, and Mandarin. And those things really help. And those are big strategic advantages that offices will absolutely love. One of the other things I would think about in terms of doing this or doing a study abroad program or doing some other experiential program through the college or whatever it might be is just thinking about where you are in life at this moment in time, and that all of you a couple of years out are going to graduate, and all of you are going to go out to your careers or into law school or into grad school or whatever it might be, and you're going to be interviewed in some part of the process. And one of those questions is going to be, how did you adjust during the pandemic? What did you do? Did you take it as an opportunity just to retreat and keep your head down until everything passed? Or did you take it as an opportunity to try to do something that's going to set you apart from others down the road? And these are the types of things that will help set you apart from others down the road. So I really encourage people to do, whether it's this program that I work with or the other programs that JC talked about or other things that the college can offer or your major can offer, definitely do those. So this slide in terms of how it works, I think we mostly have that. It's the class, which I'm really excited about. And when we go into the on-site program, then there's faculty out there with you, and generally faculty, when I'm out there, and we try to ingrain this in the other faculty who go out there, usually after class, a small group of the faculty and a small group of alumni will go out somewhere and just go enjoy a really, really great, vibrant, young city. You know, don't look at the images on TV at this point. Normally, it is a great, vibrant, young city with a lot of young professionals under the age of 30 running everything. So just kind of jump into that. You want to go ahead and move it, JC, or can I don't even know if I can move it. The types of internships I kind of mentioned a little bit, and the congressional ones are great, and the White House ones are great, and the couple that we've had over at the Supreme Court, they've had an incredible experience. One got a job there afterwards at the Supreme Court for a few years. But really, the federal agencies are a great place to go. When you think of the large bureaucracies that we have, every single place will have an office that deals with budgeting if you're into budgeting. Every place will have communications if you're into that. It'll be policy development. It'll be working with nonprofits. It'll be working with international organizations, whether it's Department of Agriculture or Energy or Commerce or Treasury or any of these types of things. They all will have those different offices. It's kind of the example that I use in a lot of the sessions on this. One of the very first students we had go through this got an internship with the Department of Agriculture, which he thought was a little bit odd, even though he applied for it. And we had a contact over there because he said, you know, he came into my office and he said, you know, I've never been to a farm. You know, food is pretty much what I get at the grocery store. It's about it. That's all I know about agriculture. And it's like, okay, that's not what you're going to be working on. He was in the Office of Inspector General's office, and this will date it a little bit. And for those of you who are sports fans will know this. Before the story broke, all summer long, he provided background research on one particular case that the Department of Agriculture and the FBI had as a joint task force on, which was dogfighting. And it was with a Michael Vick, former football player, dogfighting case. That's what he spent his summer doing. Before anybody else knew that was going on, that's what he was doing. So it had nothing to do, he thought, with agriculture, dealt with livestock, but it was more about investigations. And he took a lot of the research skills he developed from that and a lot of the technical skills, and is doing great things in New York. He lives up in New York now and is highly, highly successful. But media outlets, education, nonprofits, there's an endless list of the type of things that people can do. So whatever you're interested in, we can probably try to match you up with an office. That's a little bit of this. So, you know, part of it is we get to know you during the information sessions, we get to know you during the application process, and we try to help match you up with somebody. Okay, go ahead, JC. A couple of next steps for it. We do have some information sessions coming up. There's the website there for the program, and I imagine these slides are going out to everybody who came, so you'll have the addresses, or no?
I'm not sure if the slides are going out, but I did post this information in the chat.
Okay, cool. And if you just email us, we'll send you a Zoom link for one of the information sessions. Just let us know which one you're interested in. And that's for this coming virtual summer. So we're doing the recruiting and the training and all of that. We take you through the process of how to apply. We take you through the process of how to build up your resume, how to write it, how to do the interview skills, how to get the most out of the entire experience. That's what we do through the orientation sessions, which take place throughout the spring to prepare for a summer. The cost of the program is the same as if you were taking the units here, because you are taking the units here. And even when it goes on site, the tuition cost is the same as if you were taking the classes here. There's no extra program fee on top of that. When it goes on site, you do have obviously housing and transportation costs. You have to be there. You can't commute from here every day to your office out in DC. You have to live out there, and we help provide housing opportunities for people and housing arrangements. There are lots of different ones out in the area that we can do. We help subsidize it too. It does cost. I don't want to give an exact number right now, because when we go on site, it'll be next year and the numbers will be a little bit different. But it is manageable for people. In addition to the regular subsidies that the college helps provide and that Students provide through instruction related activity grant. We have a lot of alumni who've given a lot of money to the program too, and we provide stipends that way, or scholarships that way, or whatever we technically call them, based upon the filing system. So we do provide some financial help directly from the program as well to try to help offset the housing cost. We do have some students with family out there, and they can stay with family, and it's free at that point. I assume if your family likes you and they don't want to charge you for rent, then that really cuts down on the cost as well. But those are the only costs. I don't want to say it's cheap, because it can be an incredibly expensive city if you don't do it right. It can also be a fun city that's incredibly cheap. And trust me, I can take you to all the cheap places there. That's most definitely true. So we'll try to help people in terms of budgeting and make it so you get the most out of it. People do travel while they're out there, so your entire day is mostly interning, and then going out and exploring the city and doing your homework. But beyond that, going out and exploring the city and getting to know people. People generally will take a trip up to New York. People generally will take a trip down to Mount Vernon. There are lots of things in the East Coast to go explore, and we try to provide you with some guides to how to do that. All right. Thanks. I think that might be it. Yes.
Yep. Thank you, Dr. Stambaugh. So at this time, we're going to open it up to you guys to post any questions in the Q&A section that you may have. So let me open it up and see if we received any questions yet. I don't know, Robin, I don't have the ability to see the questions. I don't know if you can help me here.
In the Q&A?
Yeah. Maybe if
if you click on the bottom, just kind of move your mouse a little bit, and then you should see the Q&A at the bottom.
Okay, I see.
No, I don't see any questions.
All right, so we'll give it a moment, and if anyone has questions, feel more than welcome to post them in the chat, and we will answer them for you.
If I may just underline a couple of things that JC and Dr. Stambaugh said, this summer is a great opportunity to get ready for a future on-site study abroad, right? So we've really set up some great virtual programming that won't take the place of your future ability to go to DC or your future ability to go to Spain or Mexico, but they will prepare you to go to those places next year. So really look into our virtual options.
Thank you, Dr. Stern. I see a question in the chat. Can you travel with family or a partner? I'll speak on the study abroad side, and Dr. Stambaugh, if you don't mind speaking on Cal State DC side. So as for study abroad, we can't restrict you from traveling with your partner or family. So it is possible. One thing you must keep in mind, though, most likely they will not be able to participate in the study abroad activities that you would be doing because of insurance boundaries, nor they wouldn't be able to stay in the same housing accommodations that you would be staying in. Now I will say there are some programs, depending on the faculty, that will allow students to live off-site, but again, it's contingent on the faculty and the program restrictions. If anything, your family or partner would have to live off-site or separate accommodations and just wait for you after you are done with your accommodations or your activities in the day and on the weekends.
For DC, it's similar, and it would depend upon where you ended up living. And over the years, we've used different housing providers, so it depends upon that. Some housing providers don't allow any overnight guests. Others do, but there is a limit on how long. So no more than like 3 days or no more than a week, and that depends upon where you end up being. If you have people who want to visit, that generally hasn't been a problem. Traveling for the entire summer, because the summer program, spring program is, as JC mentioned, between about 13 and 15 weeks. Summer program, the academic portion of it is about 8 weeks. Students normally do about 9 weeks out there. That's a long period of time for somebody to just visit. They might as well move there at that point. So, we've had people have guests come out, and that hasn't been a problem. We've had people with guests come out, and it has been a problem if they didn't clear it with their roommates and they were staying there. There are a ton of hotels and Airbnbs in the area too, and we can help if you have people or a large group that want to come out, particularly if they want to come out and just go explore DC for a week or a weekend or something along that line.
Thank you, Dr. Stambaugh. I see there's another question. If I were to study abroad or go to DC, would I be able to take other classes at the same time? I'll speak on the study abroad side. In the spring, so for our London program, you actually can take an extra course, right? So generally your schedule would be a 12-unit schedule. If you wanted to take more courses and bump it up to 15, it's possible. You just have to make sure it's obviously an online course so that you can take it while you are in London. As for the summer, I'm not going to say it's impossible. It would just make it would be a lot more difficult for you to do that because not every country will have the technological accommodations for you to participate in another course online. Number one. Number two, because the summer is short term, every day you're doing something. So while you are abroad, you don't want to overwhelm yourself. So you could end up in a position where you're a bit overwhelmed with that third course that you're taking online. So it's not impossible, but we don't recommend it in the summer. Definitely in the spring for our London program, it is possible.
It's the same where it's easier to do in the spring. And again, because with 12 units, you can go up to 15. I would definitely not recommend anybody go up to 18. It would have to be an online class. Although there was one student who I believe took a class from one of the local colleges and had to transfer in. So they were able to do that. Obviously, that's going to cost a totally different amount than just doing something here. In the summer, again, I kind of wouldn't recommend it because it's so compact. And, if you're doing, say, 30 hours of internship a week and your regular schoolwork for us, and that could be in the spring or for summer, and then you realize that, okay, you're doing 30 hours a week, you really don't work as much on Friday, but on Thursday, you're out at 5, but then there's a reception and your whole office is going to it. You're going to end up going to that reception with your whole office. So time management is a more difficult thing to do. So just kind of plan on different events, not necessarily events with the program, events with your office or events that your office knows about that are going to be going on probably 2 to 3 nights a week. And that's going to take time. And those are very important things to do. That's where you develop the career contacts that can help you out down the road.
Thank you. And 2 more questions before we get to a close. Is there a maximum number of times we can participate in a study abroad and the DC Scholars Program? For study abroad, nope, there's not a maximum. I've had students study abroad twice or 3 times within the same year. They just bounced around country to country and got the best out of their experience. I'll speak for Cal State DC. I presume there isn't a limit. Is that correct?
We would have to do some juggling with the classes because there are only a certain number of times that you could repeat internship units. And not repeat, but I mean retake internship units. So it's repeatable once. You can only have 6 units of internship go towards your major. So that could be one of the limits on it. But theoretically, no. We've had a lot of people do it twice. I don't think I've ever had anybody do it 3 times, but I've had a lot of people do it twice.
And then finally, is there a possibility that Japan will be added to the study abroad set of programs? It's not impossible. I will say you won't see it in 2022 or 2023. It's contingent on the faculty and what programs they decide to offer. We did offer Japan twice, I believe. I believe it was back in 2017 and 18, and it was just a fantastic program. But it's not impossible to not see Japan as a offered program. You would just have to wait until it does come up again. Let's see.
So you mentioning but Japan, I want to say one other thing about what I think is the beauty of our programs, and that is they really are study abroad, study away. So you're not going with faculty to Japan and just looking at all the sites the tourists look at. The person who last led the Japan study abroad, He studies migration between Latin America and Japan and Latin America. So when you go to Japan with him, you are studying Latin American communities within Japan. Or when you go to Mexico with Lucia Alcala, you are studying child development from a psychological perspective of Mayan communities versus other communities. So this is really the only chance in your lifetime that you'll have to go see these countries through a very sophisticated academic lens with faculty who are there to help you process and analyze it. And it's something that makes our programs just so special and unique.
Thank you, Dr. Stern. Well said. All right. Well, with that, it looks like we're out of time. Is there another? There's one more question I'd like to answer. This would be for you, Dr. Stambaugh. Are these internships paid for students that do the Cal State DC program?
Increasingly, they are. Not all of them will be, but a lot of them are. The laws are changing, and a lot of places require that the internships are paid. So those, obviously, you're going to get paid. And sometimes pay means a small stipend. Sometimes it means an hourly wage. It really varies quite a bit. But that, there are a lot of paid ones. There are some unpaid ones. Both are worthwhile if you can do it. And the unpaid, it's not just the unpaid ones, but one of the reasons that we have donations from our alumni to help you do this is to help make this financially possible, regardless of your situation.
Thank you. All right. Well, with that said, we will end this orientation. Again, if you have any other questions that you think about, please feel more than welcome to reach out to Dr. Stambaugh or myself, or even Dr. Stern. And, we're here to assist you. Ultimately, these programs are designed to facilitate your success and just make you a better version of yourself. Once again, thank you again for joining this orientation, and we look forward to seeing you all soon. Take care.